I don't set anything loose around my engine if I don't have to. So if you see me reaching into this bucket, it's because this is where I have my tools, so I don't drop them down somewhere. Don't forget it. Close up the hood and have this thing fly out or ruin something while I'm cruising down the highway. So do something like that. Get yourself a little bucket or a tray, or put it on a rag or something that really sticks out, so that you don't forget before you wrap things up and close it up. So first thing I'm going to do is remove the intercooler, and what I'm going to do is remove this nut. I'm going to leave the bracket on. Going to go ahead and loosen the clamp, hose clamp, and this bolt, and then where it goes into the intake down there. Can't really see that. That should come right out. So see how that goes. I'll show you that. Get it loosened. Looks pretty good. Probably did that just now. Not too bad. I'll get a little screwdriver. Pull those up. Basically, intercooler works like your radiator, and it's a heat exchanger. Air goes from one side to the next, passes through all these fins, and the more surface area, the more heat exchange you're going to get. So basically the air was coming in through the charge pipe after the turbo. This is your charged pressurized air coming in on this side, going through all of this. The hood scoop is pulling all the cool air across these fins, and then by the time the charged air comes out into the throttle body, which is a pretty short travel, you have cool air. So that's why these things always function better when you're moving, especially the top mount, because this warm air in the engine bay, as you can imagine, it's kind of coming up and soaking into this and not getting the efficiency as when it's moving. So take care of this, and if you ever need to remove your intercooler, just be careful on that charge side. It'll launch. Alright, sorry for the shakiness. I don't have a good way to hold on to this except just by hand. So this is what I'm trying to do, is get this PCV valve tube from going right into the throttle body here, going back into my intake system. I'm going to route that probably under here somewhere and go right into my oil cap, and that blow by is going to go into the oil fill instead of going into my intake, which is going to go right into the top of my valves, and it's just going to dilute my fuel air mixture, and it's just going to cause a lot of complications, sluggishness, and it's something I just don't want to have to maintain, and keep the engine run a little better. What I'll do is once I get this system installed, I'll put a little bit of fuel injector cleaner in here, run that through, do an octane boost probably on a tank, and so what I'm going to do is follow the big AC line I have coming from the compressor. See if I can. So that'll clear. My intercooler mounts up here. I know I'm not hitting on here, so I can come under that. Perhaps. I'll come over that little harness because I want a nice clean loop where any pinches. Alright, so the PC valve fitting there is a little smaller than 1/2 inch, so what I'm going to do is reuse this elbow, and I'm going to use a straight adapter because this is 1/2 inch down here where it went into the throttle. So that'll actually give me a nice clean location. See, the height is about the same, so what I'm going to do is just unite it right there. Boom. See these little things, you twist them in line with the grooves on there and they pop up. So it's a nice little tube assembly here. So the inner diameter of my tubing is 1/2 inch. And basically that's going to give me 1/2 inch. So if the outer diameter of this is a 1/2 inch or very close to it, I can unite on that. It is not. All right, let me see what that hose ID is. Alright, so I didn't like the way the 1/2 inch was crimping down here coming off of this elbow. Would have been kind of clean from the top. But I'm going to cut this about here, do my union here, and then I'm just going to zip tie that. That shouldn't look too bad. But I do want to keep this piece here. So like that. So, got my dimension here. Got some nice tube cutters. There's my piece. Engine cover is a nice little tool holder too, and my little bucket holder. So there we go. It's pretty darn close. So underneath my intercooler coming out, there'll be no interference there. Have to be aware of any heat. So I'm running where other tubes are or any other light materials, so that I know I'm in the right group of parts. So I don't want to be attaching this to like my block. I don't want to attach it to anything that's doing heating or cooling. This hose will stay pretty much engine temp, which is all this stuff is going to be. So I'm okay with attaching to that. Feel okay there. Kind of naturally fitting there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a zip tie right there, because that's one section I don't want to move. I've had these since the early 90s, just so you know. First got into aerospace. This was part of the first toolkit I ever bought. Alright, just want to do a quick follow-up video. Turn the unit around so I get a little bit cleaner installation. Didn't have to use a couple of the 90-degree elbows. So basically my PCV coming in here through the bottom, crankcase valve vent coming in through this one on the bottom, and then this is my clean air coming out, and then that goes into the turbo inlet. So I want to keep this one clean. This will pull up through the bottom of this center unit. These two will go through a baffling area where the oil pools, collects, and drips down, and that is pulled in by the inlet vacuum or negative pressure, lower pressure than the pressures coming in, so it'll draw in that blow by. And so see how this works. A little bit of rubbing here, but this is a nice soft plastic area that can be reworked if I need to, but so far I think this is going to work. So I'll run this for a little bit, and then I'll go down, clean out the turbo inlet, and then keep an eye on it, see if anything else gets back there. I want this to be nice and clean going into the turbo, and then all the blow by coming into these bottom and dripping right down into the oil filler and into the oil system. So the reason I got this because this is nice, clean, small, compact unit. A lot of the cans you have to kind of mount the big old can over here or off the battery somewhere. At least 2 locations to do it right to get both of these systems, but I'm kind of Frankensteining this, but I think I've got the system concept okay, and this isn't going to cause any damage, and worst case scenario, put it all back the way it was, but I think this is going to work.